Hello, and how are we doing? Welcome to another episode of Milfoil Monday. This is where we go over an invasive or non-invasive plant. We go over where it's from, how it got here, its characteristics, why is it a problem, and my favorite segment, can it be bottom buried? My name is Joe Markman, and this is the Lake Defense Force, and today's plant is the yellow pond lily, otherwise known as the spatterdock. So, what are its characteristics? Well, the yellow pond lily is a perennial, which we've gone over a couple times in the show, but it means that the same root system can live for 2 or more years. So these same plants can live a long time, if not up to a couple decades. It is a rhizome-based plant, which means that it has these thick, actually this plant in particular has these thick, disgusting roots, much like the fragrant water lily, but this is just the yellow water lily, that grow from between 8 inches in diameter and up to 17 feet long. So one rhizome system can literally trail and circle around itself in these thick, nasty roots for up to 17 feet in diameter. These things are big, they are disgusting, and boy, do they smell terrible. So what does the yellow lily look like? So we've talked about the fragrant water lily before. This one's very invasive, takes over a lot. That one has these small circle-shaped leaves. The yellow water lily, or the native, the non-fragrant, the native has these giant heart-shaped leaves. You'll see a picture of both those next to me. These are compared to either hearts or elephant ears, but they are easily 2 to 4 times bigger than any other one, so they're very recognizable. They do have a way bigger flower, and the blossoms, so the flowers on the native versus the invasive. The natives are really simple, white, not too ornate, but unfortunately the fragrant water lily has these really ornate, beautiful blossoms, so you can kind of tell the two. If it doesn't look as nice or as showy, it's probably the native. If it does look really nice and kind of attractive to a certain extent, it's probably the invasive. Kind of counterbalances each other, but hey, there you have it. So, where is it from? Well, the yellow water lily is actually from all of North America. It's native to all 50 states, better parts of Canada. It's spread throughout. While it is native, it can be a pest, it can overgrow, and it should be controlled in some situations. This all being said though, it actually is part of a really healthy environment and normally does not grow out of control. So, where does it grow? It grows in shallow ponds, streams, rivers, irrigation ditches, basically anywhere that's between 3 to 6 feet in depth and has these long, continuous, muddy bottoms. It doesn't like deep water, it doesn't like too shallow, again, into these big, hardy root systems, but that's where it likes to grow. It also can grow in sluggish streams and canals, so if there's not a lot of water, if the water speed does get too up, it's not an environment conducive to the native spatterdock or yellow water lily. So here at the Lake Defense Force, we do pond management. And part of that is coming into old neglected ponds that were probably built 30 to 40 years ago and never touched again. And in some of these ponds, year after year, you get foot after foot of sediment that builds up. And this is a great environment for the yellow pond lily. We had this one job where we came in and it was overgrowing and there was still water with mosquitoes and stagnation and algae. It was really disgusting. Anyways, we got in there and started moving things around and clearing out the milfoil, some other curly pond weeds, also another invasive. But when we got in there, we realized that this water lily was the main culprit of the stagnation. So as soon as we got in there, we started walking around. It wasn't that deep, and these thick roots, we kept kicking them. Weren't really sure what they were, but our foot kept getting trapped. So we kicked one up, pulled it out. We thought we had pulled out an alien life form or something. These things literally can be this big, are armory, and they look like something out of an alien predator movie. Once they reach the surface too, they smell so bad, it's unbearable. Needless to say, these things can be healthy, but in some environments they're really not meant to be in, and they're just a nuisance. So why is it a problem? Well, it's typically not a problem. It typically grows pretty slow and can take care of itself in an environment and has plenty of native other animals that actually eat it. It's kind of an interesting plant. The root rhizome itself actually gets eaten by deer, muskrats, nutria, and beavers. So all those different kind of mammals or waterline creatures, not necessarily deer, but ones that live near the water or in it, nutria, beaver, a good example, they really actually dig in and eat those rhizomes. So they kind of naturally control for it. When I was looking more into this plant, kind of the history of it, one thing I found that was pretty interesting was that the Native Americans actually used the rhizomes and the seed from the lily itself for food and for different medicinal purposes. They used the rhizome, they would cook it, eat it for food. They actually would take the leaf and the flowers and use that for dyeing, so gather a bunch of that and dye clothing with it. They would actually take the rhizome root. It's so leathery, it's kind of ridiculous, but they would tan it, and they could make it. People could make it into clothing or different objects after it was tanned. The last one that I encountered was for medicinal purposes. Wasn't able to find out what part of the plant they used and what they did to create it into something, but it was used for medicinal purposes as well. Guys, so this is my favorite segment, as you know. Can it be bottom barriered? The answer is yes. Actually, our bottom barrier is amazing for dealing with rhizome-based growth and rhizome-based plants. Put that down there, and we can kill any root system quickly, efficiently, and eco-friendly. But this is always the question you should ask yourself: should you bottom bury it? And the answer for this is no, probably not. There are certain limited use cases where where a lake is really being killed, where the bottom barrier might be applicable, and where you could kind of get rid of infestation. But normally, nature kind of takes care of its course, and those one-off situations shouldn't be taken into account as the whole. Another way to manage the growth of this plant, which I found interesting, was it actually grows a lot faster in water bodies that are rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. So if you can limit the fertilizers or the different inputs of phosphorus and nitrogen into that body of water, you can actually control for the growth. This being said, living on any water body, you always do want to do those, because excess phosphorus and nitrogen does have any other problems that it leads to in a body of water. But specifically for this one, if you can limit that, you can actually slow the growth as well. It's another way to kind of naturally get rid of it without using chemicals. Now, there are a lot of herbicides that have been created over the years to deal with this. So there is ways to go the chemical route. I do know one of the more popular ones has been linked recently to a lot of cancer cases, big class action lawsuits, so not a good thing. There is a way to actually there are two other ways to get rid of the water lily. One is to continually pull the leaf, so the flowering leaf that's on the surface, to continually pull that 2 to 3 times a year for 3 to 4 years will eventually beat back the plant and kill it. It's labor intensive, it's hard, and it's just expensive, or at least for you, it's a lot of effort. The second way, which is one we're actually exploring more recently in terms of large scale lily pad infestations, is where you drag a giant scythe, so basically a giant hook off the back of the boat, and you can crisscross the root systems. If you break open the rhizome, you can actually drown and kill the plant. It's kind of funny, lives underwater, but you can drown it. Anyways, those are the systems that you can use to control the growth of the yellow water lily. All right, guys. Well, once again, my name is Joe Markman. The company is the Lake Defense Force. The plant is the yellow water lily, also known as the spatterdock. And I want to thank you for turning into another Milfoil Monday. I want to wish you a milfoil-free day.